Hey everybody, it's Leland. This is my new sports show. Don't have a name for it yet. Don't have a backdrop for it yet. I don't have anything for it yet. But it's the first week of college football and it's a late Thursday night. Half the game's probably already over for tonight, but I'm going to say them anyway. At least the only one that's in the top 25. Anyhow, I'm covering the AP top 25 ranking teams in every one of their games for every week. I'm going to do the top 10 detailed, and then the rest after that, you're just going to get who I'm going to pick to win. So here we go. Let's start with number one. Georgia at home versus Georgia Southern. Southern has talent. Georgia Southern does. But Georgia has talent in every piece of their game. There's not a piece of the game without talent. They can come at Georgia Southern anytime they want, at any angle. It's pretty ridiculous. In 2004, Georgia Southern hung in for the first half until the Dogs ended up mutilating them in the second half. But I just like Georgia's defense to overwhelm Georgia Southern early in the game and take an overwhelming lead. And the end score will be, in my opinion, 48-10. Georgia wins. And we'll move on to number two, Ohio State at home against Youngstown State. Jim Tressel used to coach Youngstown State, and he probably doesn't want to beat up on his old school, but with the talent his team has this year, it's going to be hard not to. Last year, Ohio State won this game 38-6. And this team, this year's offense for Ohio State is far more advanced than last year's. So, yeah, this score is probably going to be around 49-7, Ohio State. And then we'll move on to number three, USC versus Virginia. Now, if Virginia still had Chris Long and a formidable D-line, along with its mobile quarterback, I could see them giving the Trojans trouble. Maybe upsetting the Trojans. But I doubt Virginia has the talent to challenge UFC's young offensive line. I expect them to pass a lot in this game, but it won't do much against the punishing secondary. In that case, the punishing defense, which has talent at all three levels. So I pick USC to win 35-7. Moving on to number four, Oklahoma at home versus Chattanooga. The Mocs, Chattanooga, scrapped a little bit with Arkansas last year. This one won't be anywhere near close that game was with Arkansas. Oklahoma hung 79 points on North Texas in last year's opener, and could probably score more in this one. But I'm not that, confident with the going in that high a score, so I pick Oklahoma to win 65-0. Moving on to number five, Florida versus Hawaii at Florida. Three things scare me if I was a Hawaii fan. Number one, Hawaii has really struggled in its road opener, and this game is super early for Hawaii, or in Hawaii time. Number two, Hawaii is very green in the defensive line and secondary. And number three, Florida's offense is absolutely loaded. I'm expecting a win, a big win, with Percy Harvin or not. I got Florida 52-14 against Miami, or Hawaii. Jumped the gun there. Number 6, Missouri at home versus number 20, Illinois. Now this should be a decent game. This will be another game to watch on Saturday. I know Regis Bend is going to be great, but I suspect the Fighting Illini will miss Rashard Mendenhall a lot more than people think. The Tigers have a lot of firepower on offense, and their D has 10 returning starters. Yeah. They ran out of gas in last year's game and lost to Illinois, but it's not going to happen this year. It's going to be about a 10-point game, I think, maybe 10-12. I got Missouri beating Illinois 32-20. Then our next game is number 7 LSU versus Appalachian State. Now we all know about Appalachian State being number 5 Michigan last year, biggest upset ever, whatever. This LSU defense is better up front than the Michigan group Appalachian State beat last year. Worse still for Appalachian State is the experience they lost from last year's team. Plus, LSU's home setting is a lot nastier than the Big House, and I have LSU beating Appalachian State 38-17. They'll try to give a valiant effort, but they will fail. Moving on to number 8 West Virginia versus Villanova. Villanova's a good 1AA team, but the Mountaineers have a history of thumping opponents in their openers. Expect more of the same. West Virginia has way too much speed on offense for Nova to keep up with. Moving on to number 9, Clemson versus number 24 Alabama. This is my game of the week. This is going to be the best game of the first week. You know, it's not like it has to compete with anything, but this will be the best game of the week. It's going to be awesome. Nick Saban has had a long time to come up with a plan to contain the Tigers' potent backfield. C.J. Spiller, I just don't know whether the young Tide defense will be able to use that plan and stay on top of the game, and stay ahead of Clemson the entire game. But this is my upset pick. I pick Alabama to upset number 24 Alabama to upset number 9 Clemson first week college football to set the tone. Going to be a great game. I have Alabama beating Clemson 35-31. All right, moving on to number 10 and the last detailed one. Auburn at Auburn against Louisiana Monroe. Now, Louisiana Monroe is the same team that knocked off Alabama last year. Big upset. They also held new offensive coordinator Tony Franklin's Troy offense to 24 points last season. But the Tigers have been dominant in this series and will be fueled by the Tide loss to make a statement. But the Tide aren't going to lose, so I don't know why I put that in there. So anyhow, I still have Auburn beating Louisiana Monroe 31-7. Now we're going to go double time. Here's the rest of the games. Number 11 Texas at home versus Florida Atlantic. I got Texas beating them 45-28. Number 12 Texas Tech against Eastern Washington at home, beating them 69-14. I have number 13 Wisconsin beating Akron 35-6 at home. I have number 14 Kansas beating Florida International 45-13 at home. I have number 15 Arizona State beating Northern Arizona at home 49-20. I have number 16 BYU beating Northern Iowa at home 48-20. I have number 17 Virginia Tech at East Carolina beating them 24-10. Then I have number 18 Tennessee, that's a Monday game, at UCLA beating them 21-9. And then I have number 19 South Florida beating Tennessee Martin at home 48-3. Number 21 Oregon at home versus Washington. This will be a very close one. It's going to be 31-28. Then I have number 22 Penn State versus Coastal Carolina. Penn State in a giant blowout at home 51-0. And then I have Wake Forest. This game has probably already been played tonight, but I'm going to do it anyway. Wake Forest at Baylor beating them 27-17. And finally, Pittsburgh at home beating Bowling Green 34-17. Okay, that's this week in Week 1 football, college football. I'll give you a results show Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday. And I'm Leland Salazar, and that's all. Good game.